All right, and welcome to Developing Content from Scratch. My name is Daniel Warren Hill. I'm the founder of Alchemical Records. You can find out more about us at alchemicalrecords.com. I have a lovely team of contributors that help us put out 20 or 30 pieces of content every week online. And now we are going into print in October. Our first in print issue we hope to have in time for the Down in the Reeds Festival happening October 8th, as well as the DC Music Summit happening October 14th through 16th. I hope you'll join us for supporting those community events. You can find more details about both of them on our website and more about our in-print zine at alchemicalrecords.com/magazine. I'm excited to dive into tonight's topic. Last week, we went over the submission process. So from start to finish, in terms of the process that we go through to determine whether a song is something that we're going to write content about. And now tonight in this presentation, we're going to talk a little bit about how we actually develop that article once we've gone through the selection process to get all the way to publishing. And then I'll show you some of the differences between some of the different types of content that we feature on the site. So first is determining the angle. Usually I try to just follow along with the message of a song once we receive it. It's usually hopefully pretty clear just in terms of lyrical content, but then depending on the level of detail that's included in the submission, we can sometimes get a very unique perspective. Some songwriters try to be mysterious. I'd always just encourage you, to give us some angle. What do your friends tell you that it's about? What does your mom tell you that it's about? Because without having some perspective, if it's not clear in the lyrics, or if you haven't sent the lyrics to us, it might be difficult to kind of pull out your message. So we want to make sure that we've got a clear message being conveyed. And we want to know your story. We want to really know your story as it relates to, how did you begin and how did it bring you to the song that we're about to write about? And how does that story develop you into the person who's looking to create this kind of artwork or to have this sort of impact, or a song that contains this kind of message? So again, based on the supporting material from the artist or the agent, we're usually able to determine that angle. Then we'll go into an active listening session. This I've put into parentheses multiple times. Usually before even like a writer has checked it out, I've usually listened to it multiple times. But I know with a fact, like for a fact, that I listen to a song definitely in abundance during the writing process. I look to use that as a way of exploring every angle of, just the overall feel of the track, as well as maybe highlighting or focusing on a specific instrument throughout the song and just kind of hearing where it goes. There's tons of stuff in terms of production. There could be things that you're trying to focus in on that are, maybe it sounds like a particular artist. We're always trying to name drop the artists from the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. So listening to it a lot and trying to like evaluate which artist we could maybe tie in that has some national recognition or some local recognition is at the top of our minds. Then we write a first draft. I'll get into the read section, but most of the content we write appears in the watch or listen categories. And those we consider blurbs. They're just like really short snippets. Try to get to the point and dive into all the reasons why you should be listening to more of this music and more of these artists. So the first draft is usually about 300 words. It contains an initial sentence that typically summarizes what it's about, the artist and where they're from and the name of the new track or the album or EP. Then you dive kind of either right into the song or you dive into the history that goes toward that song. So to me, it's a little bit of both in every one of those blurbs to tell a little bit about the story of the artist and then the message of the song. So then you complete a first draft, and what is it? You spit it out. That's the way I was kind of instructed to just write. The editing process comes in later. That can be difficult, but I'd think that the any songwriter who's familiar with the process of like writing the song versus like getting in the studio versus getting into the mixing room should be pretty clear. The first edit, we're certainly looking for typical things: spelling, capitalization, grammar, run-on sentences, which I put a star next to because I think I'm guilty of that, and then stylization. So even just in terms of, again, like format, or there are things that we include consistently presently at the bottom of new posts, just to highlight the opportunity for subscribing to the magazine, or for joining the local DMV street team that we have that supports local DC artists and events. So that's a verbiage that would traditionally, if you're one of our writers and you been with us for a while, you're going to know these are certain things that are going to be included at the bottom of the text. Right now we're kind of swapping out as well between the watch posts contain YouTube videos, so there's often a track that's been added to Spotify and to YouTube, versus tracks that are just audio only, and so maybe we're sharing the links to the Spotify, so there's some kind of stylization parameters there. Once we actually have the article written, which maybe this takes different time for different writers. I find that because the blurbs are so concise, and we're usually kind of clearing that we have most of the information in advance. I mean, a blurb could take 20 or 30 minutes. It could take an hour or more. I think it just depends. Some material, some music, or even some narratives that you're trying to tell about artists, as great that they are, like, to try to find the words that create that concise experience for a reader is not always easy, or finding proper descriptions or proper parallels between other artists as well is sometimes difficult. So once we actually get it written in a draft, it usually comes to me as a we've had them before coming to me as Google Drive or Word documents. Most of our writers are putting content directly onto the site itself now, where then it will go through my editorial process. So the writers have to go in, and there's parameters. I'm happy to share them with you. Let's see if we can pull it up. Maybe I should give you an example of a recent article. This could be pretty fun. Let's see how far down it is. Here we go. So the first stage of kind of the editing process here focuses on the title. And you can see the repetition of kind of the focus key phrase of the title. And then this initial sentence, that summarization, those are elements that we'll see kind of conveyed in here as well, or sometimes reworded from this or summarized from this into the meta description. Charlie wrote this particular article, and on this one, there's some collaboration and timing. Garrett and Ryan collaborated on this project and then released it, and then we were able to do a live stream later on in that week to kind of get behind the scenes with them. So we created some media around that. We were able to get some really cool photos of them, and not just the artwork, the album art, which is most often what we feature in a blurb. or a thumbnail of the music video. So it was nice to be able to tie all of that in together. This is what it actually looks like in the editing fields. So you can see that here we're containing two photos inside of an intersection. We've got font. Anything longer than 300 words, and we start to need to kind of break down the articles in terms of creating new headings. So blurbs help keep things succinct, and they require a little less detail overall, uh, not just photos or video embedded content, but in terms of headings and other details. So let's take a look at one of the read features. This one could probably qualify. It's another one. That's a little more blurbish. I thought it was longer. I wrote it. I thought it was longer. But we've got the media embed there as well because it was made available to us. This is a read article for sure. And so now you can see that it's definitely got a lot more like photographic insertions. We can kind of show a video, highlight a new track or an album, all inside of the context. These photos also help to break up kind of the spacing between the paragraphs. So even though these are certainly covering various topics about Scarlett O'Hara, it just doesn't necessarily require the headings addition here. I've seen it. It's funny. I've seen it done both ways, where some folks have headings all over the place and then no headings. Let's see. So once we've got the formatting completed and how it's going to be presented, then we can come back and fill out our tags. The writers begin by filling out tags. I'd say they put their own name and then any details that they've picked out of the article themselves. And then I have kind of some standard tags that we utilize regularly to try to create comprehensive dynamics for when people are searching, as well as to like focus on some general search engine results for things like Google or Yahoo. Let's see, categories that we have, categories that we cover. Some of them are more used than others. Some of them are not used at all. Some of them have been used and hold some sort of archive content. So they're still here. Most of our posts, though, are actually falling under the watch, read, listen, go categories. We can also separate a post specifically to the Baltimore or Richmond areas. We do our Friday kind of major New Music Friday playlist update. So that goes here. We also have a playlist section of the website. So that would be related to those posts. We have podcast media related to our Lead into Gold series or our Alchemicast, which right now is technically at a top tier category. Specific posts that we can assign that go to a section dedicated to our street team. We were toying with trying to list different venues. I've recently become aware, of better resources or better platforms, databases to be able to kind of hold that kind of information. So, working to see about augmenting that in some way. Let's see. After tags, we've done categories. So the photo process is pretty interesting. There's a lot to be said for high quality images for all sorts of reasons, but we're trying to meet a middle of the road usage here. Probably, I want to say 70% of our traffic is probably through a mobile device of some kind. So uh, we're not just looking for upload, download speed capabilities. We're also looking for the experience. So if you go to the website on your phone, you'll have a somewhat different experience, a somewhat different layout to try to make it more advantageous for you. And it should also be able to expand a little bit if you're on a larger device like a tablet. So you might try checking out some of the different devices and how that affects the experiences you have on Alchemical. If you experience any issues or spot anything fun or funky, let me know. And certainly, we're always looking to try to expand the publication's accessibility. Pretty excited that I've been able to get back to personally recording the newsletter readings and then working with the team now um, to try to put together the rest of the accessibility readings in contribution from our writers. So with the photo, the first thing is like sizes, and some of this was specifications set up from our initial designer for the this particular style of web, which we've been using for a couple of years. Thank you very much, Mark and Karen Beeson of 110 RPM. We really appreciate it. Um, the photos are initially are edited outside of this space. I've shown my writers where to be able to use resources like Image Resizer, which just got a fancy new upgrade in terms of look and feel. So with something like this, we might take an image. I'm going to be designing some. Well, let's. I'm going to be designing some promo material. I'll be with Field Rush, talking about their brand new album Fundamentals on next Wednesday, October 14th, right before we do the content from scratch call. So just to give you some sense of these particular designs, like here we've got some album art. You can see that it's at 3,000 pixels, and really the mode that we need on our site is 1,000. We can save it as a JPEG just to make sure that it's got a compressed feel, and it'll upload the image, and then it will uh, resize, do the compression, and then allow it to download it. So it's probably slow because I'm trying to do the live stream. So why don't we come back to it? Then in cases of, let's see. Mm-hmm. I've probably mentioned it before, we probably have used Canva quite a bit in the past. My personal tool of choice has been Photoshop. So let's see. If I can share this. So this would be a particular kind of graphic for, let's see, like say making an Eventbrite image or an Eventbrite banner image. And we've got photos from Field Rush. So I could just show you a little bit of how that comes together. So normally I love to highlight album art. I think it helps draw that distinction. Um, we don't really have any logos from Field Rush. I've got these two awesome photos to choose from to try to prioritize like how this happens. Let's see. Kind of like that I can see all their faces here. I like the other picture for other reasons, but I like that I can see all their faces pretty clearly. So let's bring the album art back. And whoops. Let's bring the album art back. Perfect. We're mostly going to go over the top of that. Let's see if we can split it more. More in the middle. Yeah. And then I'm going to merge these two. And add a little filter to make it look all blurry. Oh, wait. Put on the blur gallery. There we go. That's strange, but let's see what that looks like. There it is. So we've got that nice kind of blurry, funky background. Familiar, but unfamiliar. And then we'll go back, drop this photo here. Not that one. We can go ahead and delete that. Pull this one up. So then I won't bore you by having you watch this entire process, but we then have to be able to resize it from, say, an Eventbrite image to a Facebook post. If you're looking to do a Facebook page cover image, that's a different size. Instagram, trying to get a post into the square profile, 1080 by 1080. And then for stories, it's another size. It's 1080 by 1920. And so that's should give you just like some indication of, maintaining the platforms you have, love the one you're with before running off to try to find fans inside of another platform. Making sure that the content that you're creating is kind of formatted for the platform that you're in. Let's see what else we've got. I mentioned Canva. We've got other things when it comes to photos, like, let's see. Let me pull this up. Oh, there we go. So we have like captions and credits. That's usually what we'll use the caption spot for, is to credit the folks that have been involved in taking the photo or in design in some way. There's also the alt text. Let's see if I can show you an example of that. Oh, let's see how I guess I took it away, but it compresses and downloads. And then another thing we use is just imagecompressor.com, which just takes whatever size of image you place inside of it, and then it compresses it to a more web ready file. Here's Ben DeHaan jumping while Lauren DeHaan plays. Oh, I'll read it. Ben DeHaan jumping while Lauren DeHaan plays the cello, a black and white background with hot pink highlighting Ben and Lauren and the band logo. So the alternative text is what should appear when you do a hover over of an image, and it's also what you might see if you're using a screen reader to assist with vision loss. So um, the alternative text is meant to be a description, as if you kind of closed your eyes and imagined what the photo would be like. And then you can see that we've got our caption information here, and then just the general description for our internal use. So then um, once we've got an article that has gone through this process, I'll add my tags and come in and do usually the editing inside of this Elementor platform. So again, I'm looking for those spelling and grammatical issues. I'm also looking for things that our search engine optimization typically looks out for, like whether something is more than 20 words in a sentence, looking for just general spacing and feel, looking for anything that I might need to check on, verify, search individual names. I remember there was a particular series of tracks that we were receiving from one artist where we just constantly, both of us, when we were writing it, we're calling it something else very close to the name of the album, and I was glad to have the patience of the songwriter to help keep us on track there. And then you can see here kind of that Spotify language. Here's the language down here for the in print or street team. And let's see. When we're doing a read feature, it usually requires a little bit more digging into the wealth of available information. We tried to take the angle or the perspective that we would normally write about and embellish it in some way. So we'll write interview questions and email those to the artist or to their representative. And so either way, that will act as a way for them to respond to us in text or in written format with their responses, or it will be a, a planning session. It'll be prep material for a interview that we'll often hold via Zoom. We've also had interviews conducted, like our live stream Q&As being conducted through Restream and Google Meet. All have kind of some unique or interesting ways of putting everything together. Then once the read articles are finished, we'll send an advance copy to the artist or to the agent in case there are corrections that need to be made. And usually we'll have, again, looking for that lead time to be able to go through this process to make sure that we've got all of our ducks in a row, is the phrase. So we'll advance them that article, receive any corrections, make those modifications, and then we'll schedule the article to be published. Once the article is published, we will notify either that artist or that agent that the content has been published onto the website and send them a direct link. And then we'll also include the link to whichever playlist we place it on in terms of Spotify or YouTube. And then after that, our social media coordinator, Mara, will go through the site and pluck from the things that she sees that's on the site and make decisions about maximizing our social media reach and ways of making sure those posts get seen by the outside world and don't just live on our website. So there you have it in a nutshell. If there are any questions, I'm always happy to receive them. You can reach out to us at magazine@alchemicalrecords.com with any questions that you might have about how the website gets made, what's happening going on into print. You might have stories about artists that you'd like to share, or maybe you are an artist yourself and would like to tell us about an upcoming show, uh, to let us know that you have an album release, a new single, a new music video, a collaboration, um, or in addition, some of the efforts of myself and my team are going back the other direction. We see some of the submissions that we receive, and we're always looking to try uh, to improve artists and their ability to engage press outlets. So we help with biography writing, press release writing, some A&R. We've even done things uh, like booking or event planning. We've done a handful of like debuts for people's first time headlining, reinforcing or supporting those campaigns. We've done outreach campaigns for singles. Basically, we just try to contribute where we can once we learn, the goals that you have and what you're hoping that your next release will be able to do for you. We try to either create or become kind of an impromptu member of your team, or create a relationship with somebody else that can deliver the kind of product or service that you're looking for. So please feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you either way. If this has been helpful, we'd uh, love to have you comment below. And I guess I'll see you next week. What should we cover next week? I'll surprise you, but I will have a plan. I hope you're enjoying these more structured presentations, and I'm looking forward to giving you the inside scoop. You can find out more about us at alchemicalrecords.com/magazine, and we've got a lot of good behind the scenes content, some of which you've probably seen if you've checked out other older episodes of content from scratch. And before I let you go, I'd love to let you see a little bit actually about what that development process has looked like. Because when we first started, we had a blank spreadsheet, and now it is September 7th. So you can see that I did fall behind. I did prioritize other things, and I did not complete my mission for these 5 days here. I did create a bonus in terms of content that I've published for the next couple of weeks, just including a few extra pieces of content. And all the stuff that you see in green is scheduled. I'll be doing some of the writing this weekend for upcoming live streams for developing content from scratch. So once I have kind of my plans there, I will schedule these events. But you can see that we've got all of the still images posted. We've got all the video clips posted through the end of the month. And then this weekend, I'll also be working on sending the emails to subscribers, our supporters who have subscribed through PayPal rather than through Patreon. So that way they can get all of the behind the scenes content that we've been putting together for Patreon users. So it's moving forward. You can see it's filling up, and then we'll find ways to be able to kind of duplicate this process smartly for next month. And since it's only the 7th and we're almost done scheduling the content for September, we can start diving into October and focusing on this awesome release date deadline, which, we put October 1st, but and October 1st is still a great date. We should try to have them in our hands. But we're really pulling for having our physical copies in hand ready at DC Music Summit on October 14th through 16th, and Down in the Reeds Festival on October 8th. So those are the true deadlines. Hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.